Oh, it's a
doing
party now. It is a party now.
Yeah.
Cecil's here. Okay.
That's right.
Hey,
And
Cecil.
Patricia.
Hi.
Where's Patricia from?
I'm in Portland and I'm from Bridgeport, UCC.
Awesome.
Oh,
Awesome.
nice.
Excuse me.
Great. Well, this is being recorded because, as you all know, there were 5 other fabulous workshops offered at the same time, and people from my church said, "No offense, I'm not coming to yours. I'll watch it later." And I'm like, "No, they're not going to." But anyway, I would probably be at a different one too because we already have Sunday school. So this idea. Oh, and I'm Lee Matthieu. We should introduce ourselves. I'm sorry, Patricia. I'm Lee Matthieu. I'm the minister of the Dalles UCC, and I started during COVID. And this is my co-host and very good friend, Katie Cook, who went over a waterfall and busted her lip, all in the service of Christian education. And
so
what?
Wow.
Yeah, you can see it, but probably not on Zoom too badly.
It's
pretty
good. Too bad. It doesn't look. Yeah. It doesn't look too bad. But anyway.
Yeah.
Katie and I are the only members of the Eastern Oregon English Teachers Married to Farmers Club, and we both retired recently from public school teaching. And she teaches. I mean, she teaches now at Riverside and Hood River. And I'm very glad to have her nearby. And Roberta, I'll let you introduce yourself. Okay.
Okay. I am, for the purposes of this meeting, Katie's mom. And I have a history. I'm an ordained UCC minister, and I did Christian education for years and years, and intergenerational stuff and everything else too. But those were things that I concentrated.
Yeah. Well, let me share my screen. Let me show you what we're going to be doing today, and the resource that's going to be shared. We'll preview the agenda, and then everybody knows at my church nothing happens before music. So then we're going to listen to a song. So why Sunday school is going to be our first question. Why do you have Sunday school? What's the point of it? How and who? And so I know that there's a lot of discussion about, do you have Sunday school before church, during church, after church? Is it just for children? Is it for all ages? How do you do that? And we'll share what we're doing and pros and cons of all of those. And then the big question, what? Do you purchase a curriculum? Do you just kind of have a free flow, go with it? Do you make your own every single week, which I actually don't recommend? And then I'm going to do a brief talk on the curriculum that my church is using, Whole People of God. Katie will be talking about Our Whole Lives, which she does with junior high students in Hood River. I will be sharing with you an annotated list of curricula that's getting longer and longer and longer. And that will be posted on the local church ministries resource page when I'm done with it by the end of this week. Because like many of us, I don't have to preach on Sunday, so I can actually dedicate my sermon time to researching curriculum instead. Yay. And then anybody wants to share their words of wisdom, Roberta, we're going to close with experience, needs, and warnings, as in the things not to do. And I've had time to think about all of this. So while you think about, why do you have Sunday school, or why do you want Sunday school? How are you going to fit it into that Sunday morning slot? And who is it going to be for? So our first question, why Sunday school? Why do we have Sunday school? And I will tell you my reason for starting Sunday school. We just started up this month after years of not having anything on Sunday. And it came from someone who emailed me. This whole online world is so weird. Someone I've never seen or heard from and didn't know emailed me and said, I've been watching your sermons online and I really like your sermons. I wonder if your church has any programming for kids. We would like to, bring our family. And I said, we're going to start after Labor Day. And I actually hadn't talked to anybody else at my church about that. But so we started after Labor Day. We hustled together. And serving all families. And then yesterday, were you guys at Valerie Tutson's storyteller thing that she did?
I did. I went to that.
It was wonderful, and it was
Wow.
great. And she made that wonderful thing about how we all need to tell our stories. We all need to have a voice and be heard. And I think that that's also a good Sunday school rationale. A kid once described me as the person who you're the one that does all the talking. And it was a pretty good description of a minister on Sunday morning, but I don't want to be the one that does all the talking. So Sunday school is that opportunity for other people to have their voice and have their say and be heard and ask questions and be creative and all those things. So that's my rationale. And by Sunday school, I mean what happens Sunday morning. I know our Christian ed programs are much bigger than that. We have evening programs, we have workshops, we have book studies, we have all those things. I'm just talking about the Sunday morning slot right now. So anybody else, if you have Sunday school, why? If you're thinking of having it, why?
Well,
Go ahead,
for
Katie.
Hood River, the church have always been, the kids have always been a really active part of worship. And then they go down stairs for about 15 or 20 minutes. And then often come back upstairs at the end. So it's sort of integrated in, but I think it makes a little bit of separation time for a little bit deeper engagement. I don't really think it's such a bad idea to have kids in church quite a bit. And maybe even they could be there the whole time and do Sunday school later, but this model seems to work pretty well for us. And I know that families ask about the church, or new families come to the community and they ask about the church, and then that's what they ask, is there's some kind of programming for kids. And so I suppose that helps keep the church vital if families feel more inspired to come to church.
Always have had Sunday school. The tradition is morning worship, and there's the children time where, the story time or whatever you call it. And then the children and the youth are dismissed for their classes. Since COVID, we've sort of kept that practice. Like I mentioned before, we're still online. So we break out into breakout rooms, one for the youth, and we just have one now for children. And that's, I think, because of the number of children available on Sunday morning are not as many. And it's just trying to gather who's ever there to try to do a programming.
Cecil, is it always the same person that takes on the breakout rooms with the kids?
Yeah, there's the same person with the youth group, and we've tried some variety with the breakout rooms for children. It's usually me, and we have our Sunday school teachers who say, "Okay, I'm ready." But they've some of the challenges is how do we do it in Zoom and activities. So for the most part it's me, and occasionally I can get our Sunday school teachers to take a Sunday, but it's difficult.
We're going into the next question, which is how we do this. I think I'm one of the few churches that's meeting in person. We're, I'm guessing 95% vaccinated. I only know one person in my church that's not. And we wear masks and we're separated and we do all the things that we're supposed to do. But when we do Sunday school, we do it a little differently. We have church first, a complete church service. Our church services are 40 minutes long. I am a 5-minute sermon person. 5 deep minutes, Adam. I saw your eyebrow go up.
I like it. I'm like, let's do that.
And then we have, I lost the battle. Then we have coffee and cookies. And then at 11 o'clock, I play the piano, and that's the signal. If you're staying for Sunday school, you all come back into the sanctuary, and all ages. So we go from kids to adults, and we have an opening all together. Starts with music, of course. And then there's a little brief thing for all ages, often role players, it's kind of fun thing that gets all the ages together. Then the younger kids go downstairs with the teacher, and the teenagers go in another room with the teacher, and then the adults stay with me. And then they're only in their groups for about 20 minutes, because by this time in the morning, especially our younger kids, like they're hitting the wall,
Mm-hmm.
And then we all gather back. Yesterday, the sweetest thing, the adults are upstairs in our circle and we're talking, and the little kids come up and they have presents for each of us. They've gone downstairs and made presents for us. So that's our model. And I understand having Sunday school within the worship service where the kids go downstairs, or dismissed or whatever. We are doing it this way for a couple of reasons. I want Sunday school for all ages. I want the adults to be able to talk too. And I had been told that in the past, it was hard to get Sunday school teachers because nobody wanted to leave the service.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
The adults didn't want to miss worship, to be out with the kids and the teenagers. And so, if a baby's crying in church, I don't care. I'm like, great, that's the sound of God, and my sermons are short. Kids don't fall asleep. And
Adults don't fall asleep.
Adults.
It's awesome.
I don't pay
Nicely
attention.
done. Yes.
I don't pay attention. But that's the reason we do that. I know other churches that have Sunday school before the worship service. And then people come in to worship. We have choir practice before church, so that doesn't, that timing doesn't work for us. We're trying to capture as many people as we can for each thing, and not making someone unable to attend anything that they might want to do. So that's the way we do it. Anybody else have a different model that they want to lift up?
I have something I'd like to say. I'm old.
You have something you'd like to say? Oh my God.
I do. And I'm old now, so it started a long time ago. But when I first started doing Christian education, I was at First Congregational Church in Berkeley, and at that time, they were just on the end of that blip that went through the mid-60s, where there were lots and lots of people. And they had 500 kids in their church school. But I had children, and I looked at what was happening, and I'd been there around Berkeley long enough and around the church to know that those kids would grow up and they disappeared. They never came back. There were very few of them that came back. And I thought, something is really wrong here. There's something different that we're missing. And so I started reading. I ended up going to seminary. I went to workshops all over the place. And most of all, I talked to people who I came to know had grown up as children in the church, to ask them what made them stay, or why did they come back after going to college. And what I found out was several things. There's a piece of this that we all do, but sometimes it doesn't get named, which is the reasons these kids came back is they were very involved in music, or they were very involved with their parents doing things. They were allowed to do things for the church rather than having the church do things for them. That could be, junior choir, or babysitting, or helping with childcare, or being an assistant school teacher. Or when he was 16, my son said, well, I'm going to make the soup for the Lenten series that we have on Wednesday night. So I came home and he had 2 girls there and they were chopping onions and they had 3 shopping bags full, full of onions in our refrigerator. It was very smelly. And he became a minister and Katie is doing what she does. And so I do think that that we need to name the things that we're doing that really bond kids to the church. And I think that Sunday school is fine. I love your model, Lee. I mean, you know, that sounds like something, it's very inclusive and it honors the personality and the person of the child by honoring the parents at the same time and not saying you're different, go downstairs, you know. So I really do believe that that's a key that needs to be named and grown in our churches. If they never went to Sunday school and they did all these other things, I think they might still end up in the church. But I do think that the educational component is important. It's just that most people in this Protestant world think that it's Sunday school. That's what they think when they think kids. And I think we just need to broaden that.
Yeah, I'm not arguing that this is our totality. I'm just talking about Sunday morning, and I know we all do a lot of other things. So
I know, but we don't necessarily name them as crucial.
Yeah, just to go off of that, Roberta, there were some studies done when I was just out of seminary. So this is like 10 or 15 years ago. And they were saying that part of the problem is that when you have Sunday school during the worship service, you are unconsciously telling kids that worship isn't important.
It's not for them. Yeah.
And they grow up learning worship isn't important. They grow up not learning how to be in worship during that formative time in their lives. The tension, though, is that parents just have a really hard time being in a worship service when they have to quiet their kids down. And you know, some of us, Lee, I appreciated you saying that you love hearing babies cry. I do too, and most of our folks at the church like hearing babies cry, but some of us are just like, I need to be able to focus on worship right now. So parents, getting parents to be calm and comfortable with their kids, maybe acting out, is one of those challenges too. But it's just a tricky balance.
Well, I think
have babies,
if they're part of it, they are unlikely to act out. If they're, you know, they may read the scripture, or in our church at Hood River, children read poems on Sunday morning. And when they come up, their children's time often invites adults who are young at heart to come up there too.
And I shouldn't,
quite a long time, you know, that the children are active, so they don't tend to act out.
And I shouldn't use the phrase act out, because they're just acting.
They're just being kids.
Right. I mean, they're alive. Acting out has a negative connotation. They're just being kids. So I think most of it is how to form the church in a way where it's much more, this is normal, as long as it's not like super destructive, right? I mean, so
we actually don't have any babies. Our youngest regularly attendee is in kindergarten. But if we did have babies, I would certainly consider a nursery during church, you know, if every church is going to have a different thing, but
churches have sometimes just a place at the back where there are rocking chairs and books and rugs and pillows, and parents can go back there with their kids.
The crying room, we used to call it.
I think
it's not separate, it's right there, you know, so the parents aren't missing church.
I think the biggest reason that kids, young adults don't come back to church is because they see it precisely as a place of judgment. So like they're not allowed to be quiet.
Not allowed to be kids.
Not allowed to be kids. And who would want to go to a place like that?
Right.
Who would
Right.
want to go back to that when there's
Mhm.
judgment?
Yeah.
So a lot of Sunday school or church formation,
Mhm.
childhood formation is also adult formation too, of how not to fall into that trap.
Mhm.
Well, John Westerhoff, who was a Christian educator, I think he's still alive, but he was quite a few years ago now, but he wrote a book called Will Our Children Have Faith? And it dealt with a lot of these issues. And some people screamed at him at the time,
Mhm.
but I think he was right, and I think it still stands.
Yeah.
So I think one of the challenges that we have been forced to face generally with the pandemic is that for all of my adult life, we've been talking about how the church needs to change, that we cannot go back to the golden days of the 50s or 500
Yeah,
people.
yeah.
And what this pandemic is forcing us to do is to change so that the things we used to do or have been accustomed to doing, we no longer can do or will do. So whether we want to or not, we have to think of new ways in which to engage all, not only our young, but our adults as well, and realize the fact is that the church is a smaller and smaller part of
People's lives.
people's world, and to compete with everything else, with soccer practice and tennis and drama, and we have them, if we're fortunate, for 1 hour on Sunday, and the conflicting priorities. We love it when kids are in worship, but I also hear from parents who saying, I just want a break.
Yes.
Yeah.
And so it's a lot of things that we're just trying, and we'll figure it out as we go along.
Katie, could
Yeah.
you say a couple of the things you did that were creative during this time? Because I thought they were wonderful and might continue past COVID, like choosing a family and getting to know it and all that.
Oh, well, like Cecil said, COVID has pushed us into having to think more creatively. And, we couldn't even meet in a building for so long. I mean, I also started this position during COVID. So I had to just think creatively outside of the box. So we would do things like draw a family name each month on Zoom and have a family support team. And other people in the congregation would send little notes or a little small gift or a little piece of wisdom or a meal or something to that family. And that family was just kind of lavished with offerings of love for that month that, that their name was drawn. So that worked out pretty well for a while. I think people start to get a little tired. We did it for about 9 months, and then I could just kind of tell that it was time to try to do some other things. We've met in parks. I did like Sunday school in a bag for like, something special, like for Advent, or like just put all the Sunday school curriculum and little activities in a bag and make a gift out of it so that families could have something for Advent. We had an Easter bunny come dressed up as an Easter bunny and did an outside church thing. I mean, we did church and then we had the Easter bunny after church. So not to mix the secular with the non-secular, but anyway, of course, the Easter bunny was quite the hit. So, these kind of things, just because we're trying to be creative with being safe and being outside. And
what about the live
all
nativity with the pig who came dressed as a sheep?
Oh yeah, we had a live nativity. That was fun too. Yeah. Well, we live on a ranch, so we have animals. So we brought this, and then anyway, it's a long story, but we had a little pig. What do you call those mini pigs? I don't know.
Hot belly pigs.
Hot belly pig. My daughter brought home. So we took the pot-bellied pig to the live nativity and dressed Oliver up as a sheep. So anyway, you know, I mean, you just have to, it's silly, but you have to think outside the box. But Cecil and Lori and let's see, is it Patricia? Is that right? I'm using my phone. Yeah. Are you all meeting in church at all?
No.
No, so still on Zoom. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. And do you think that will continue for?
You know, initially for us, there was a concern about the children and keeping them safe. And we thought, well, we'll gather together when children are allowed to be vaccinated. But I don't know how long.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Because I think most of the adults are vaccinated.
Mhm.
But, yeah.
Mhm.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we just started going back. We've kind of tried to do church school outside as much as possible, but with winter, that's going to be hard. But we also just do not have the numbers of kids that we used to, and I'm sure that's because of COVID. So.
What are the number of kids that most of you have on any given Sunday?
Oh, go ahead.
Okay. Katie, go.
I'd say anywhere between 0 to 8. And before COVID was quite a lot more.
I counted 54 one Easter, but that's an extreme situation.
We have 3 kids who come regularly for the young group and 4 teenagers. And we just started this month. And I have not done a media blitz yet, but when we get a little more established and are more comfortable with more numbers, I will do that. For the size of our rooms, that's actually a pretty good number. If you're separating and, you know, the kids keep their masks on. I mean, they're pretty good about it. Adam, how many folks do you have? Adam and Lori, how many kids do you have?
Well, we're kind of low on kids, but we don't have any teenagers, right?
No, we've got
Most
one
of
or
ours are
2 teenagers. We haven't done worship on Zoom. We do it a different way. So we do the closest thing we have is we've done coffee hour in the past. I'm finding that parents just don't want their kids to have more screen time. They're just on their screens, especially like before they were going to school, they were already on their screens.
And now,
and they're like, I don't want them on their screens on a Sunday. So we've kind of decided to put Sunday school off to the side for now until we get and plan for whenever it is that we get back into in-person worship. Before the pandemic, we would have what, Lori, like 3 to 8 kids maybe.
Yeah.
Early. So it's hard to tell now, of course, but.
Well, I'm like Patricia. I'm putting it out there to the universe. God, bring us kids, you know, and and part of our plan to help God along with that is to really publicize what we are doing. And again,
how are you doing that? Or how will you be doing that?
Through various things. We have a pretty active Facebook page, and I have a YouTube channel that people I don't even know watch my YouTubes. I don't quite get that. And I happen to be related to the publisher of the newspaper in town. And so just different ways. And I want to share my screen again to kind of get to the meat of this. And that is how this whole thing, this knowledge swap happened, is that Tyler told me that someone, and I can't remember who, had asked him what curriculum's available. Well, that's a huge list. And we were talking about this at local church and education ministries. Remember, Cecil? And I said, oh, I'll put something together. So here is my, without any further ado, here is what I'm working on. And this is still a work in progress. Jennifer had a starting list of curricula, and I have gone through and looked them all up. I've hyperlinked them. I've kind of checked them through to see if they were something that we would actually use, if they were still active. Some of them seem to no longer exist. That was an issue. And I am not going to bore you by going through all of this, but I will share with you what we are using, and then I'm going to ask Katie to talk more about what she's using. At our church, we are using Whole People of God. It is lectionary based, and it's available online. And so you can print out whatever you want or not print it out. That makes both flexible and affordable. They're age level lessons, and they also have worship resources like a call to worship and, prayer and other things that you can use in your liturgy that connect to what they're talking about in the Sunday school lesson. I really like it. Woodlake Publishing publishes it, and they also publish Seasons of the Spirit. And Seasons of the Spirit includes ages 3 through adults. I'll show you just real quick why I didn't go with Seasons of the Spirit. When you looked at it and the ages for it, if I can find this now. I'm not going to be able to find it. Anyway, explore resources. So they were, never mind. I'm not going to flip around with that. But they were like ages 3 to 5, ages 6 to 8, ages 9 to 12. We don't have enough kids to do that.
Yeah.
We need broader categories than that. And Whole People of God so far is working really pretty well for us. We like it. And this again was going to be shared on local church ministries resource page. And I'll go through just what's on here really quick. If there's anything else you want me to look up, and we'll talk about what you want, what you're looking for that may not be here. Katie's going to talk about Our Whole Lives in just a moment, and that is a Universalist and UCC publication. Children Worship and Wonder, I didn't know about, and I actually may have been using this if I'd known about it. And that is produced by the Disciples. So really good. Godly Play and Spirit Play are both Montessori-based pedagogy developed by Jerome Berryman. Interestingly enough, Jerome Berryman is also the co-author of the Children Worship and Wonder curriculum. So he gets around. So those are both. And I know that there's churches in our conference that use Godly Play, because I've talked to ministers about that. Spark House is young children through adults, and that is, I don't know if you know about the merger of several of the publishing companies into something called 1517 Media. What used to be Augsburg and Fortress and a couple of other things are all together, and Spark House is part of that group. Manna and Mercy, I was so excited to find this resource. Thank you, Jennifer, for putting that on the list. Did some research. Do you guys know about Manna and Mercy? This is so fun. I'm going to be doing this. So this is a book. It's a 100-page retelling, paraphrase of the entire Bible. And then there's a curriculum that goes with it. And there is down here a free leader's guide for 6-week adult study. Guess who's going to be doing that? And I'm thinking that's going to be my Lent study for adults. But there's also curriculum for younger students. And the work itself is really beautiful. It's really beautiful. So Manna and Mercy, really impressed with this guy's work. That was the most excited I got about anything I found. Grow is 100% digital. Everything's downloadable and editable, which is really nice to be able to edit the stuff that you're doing. And they go from kids to adults. Storymakers, I couldn't quite figure out. It's retelling God's story through zines. Zines are electronic magazines. So that's something that's interesting to you. Shine. Cecil, is this what you said you guys were using? This is the Mennonite. It looks really, really good, actually. And that's another one that I think that I would be interested in if I was ever going to change. Gen On Ministries has various options, including Living in Faith Together and All God's Children, and those are both intergenerational curricula. So you can have all ages together for the study. Mini Revolutions, I didn't quite get, but if you want to look at it, go right ahead. Cokesbury, Cokesbury is just the tried and true. How long has it been around? Forever, I think. And it has a bunch of curriculum that are both age specific and multi-generational. So some of the things that Jennifer had that you might want to look at are Celebrate Wonder, Deep Blue, which is a one-room Sunday school, and Whirl. The one room I might look at too if we continue to have very small numbers. I don't know. I am not familiar with the Renovare Life with God Bible. If you guys know what that is, I don't know, but this is a curriculum based on that from something called Good Dirt Ministries. I like the name, Good Dirt Ministries. Weaving God's Promises. This is the Episcopal Church, and it tends to have it sounded like it had a very Episcopalian direction, but if that's interesting to you, you can look into that. Dig In sounded really fun. This is from Concordia, and it's only though ages 3 through grade 6. I want something that's bigger than that, but if you want to just focus on that, to me, a relatively small age group, that looked like it would be a really good choice. I had no idea Progressive Christianity, which I belong to like forever. I've been published there. I'm into they publish a curriculum. I didn't know that. It's called A Joyful Path, but it is only for children ages 6 through 11, which seems like really narrow to me. But
that's the program we've been using.
Is it? What do you think of it?
The last few years, a couple of years. I guess we got it 2 years. I love it.
Yeah, it looked really good. It looked really good. But am I correct? It's only for ages 6 through 11. That's what it had on the website.
Yeah, I mean, it's adaptable.
Yeah. It looked really good. I'm excited that you're using that.
Mm-hmm.
Jennifer had Spill the Beans listed, and as far as I could tell, that was more of a quarterly or a monthly magazine. It's from Britain. It looked interesting to look at. It also looked pretty expensive. So rotation is free. And I thought it was an interesting model, an online community of Sunday school teachers and church staff sharing free lesson plans.
Oh, great.
So then we have another section that's purely teen focus. If you're familiar with the book Holy Troublemakers and Unconventional Saints, do you guys know that? Katie, I thought of you when I came across this. The curriculum, it said, is for ages 8 to 14, but flexible to go up a little more. Wiggle room. This is a gorgeous book, and maybe if you saw the cover, you'd say, "Oh yeah, I've seen that." And it presents stories of faith through personal profiles of individuals, and it looks really good. Here's an example. It talks about a person. What's the theme? Prepare. Then you learn about the person and what you could learn from them for your own faith journey. It looks really good, and I'm already trying to figure out when can I use that, because that looks really good. Connecting Faith with and Justice is the United Methodist Church curriculum for teens, middle and high school students, and it actually looked pretty good. Faith Lens is the equivalent from the Evangelical Lutheran Church of America, and again, that's for youth and young adults. Cokesbury, again, has several curriculum programs for youth, and I listed some of their programs. If I was going to choose one of those, I would do the Think, Believe, Do. That looked really good. Those are the other more that I need to research. Journey to Adulthood is Episcopalian again, and it actually looked really quite good. And that's for grades 6 through 12. And then the rest of them that I haven't researched, I will do. And when that is complete, again, I will post that. So is there anything that you know of or curious about or have used that you'd want to add to that? And is that a useful resource? I don't know if it's even useful.
Yeah.
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 Okay, good. Good.
And where will it be posted, Lee, when you have it together?
So when you go on the UCC, the CPC, UCC website, there's a thing called, Cecil, help me out, local church resources. Is that what it says?
I don't know.
I
Local church.
I think that's what it says, local church resources. So, and there's a collection of, I know, we're on the committee. We're like, what is that? It's like, Adam, you know everything.
A lot to keep up with.
Yeah. So it'll be on the UCC website, or
Okay,
just
thanks.
email me and I'll send it to you. Yeah.
All righty, thanks.
It'll be done by the end of this week. I ran out of time this week. So,
Well,
and
thank
I
you,
have-
Lee, for a great, that's a great list of resources. It's really helpful. And what's happened at the Hood River Church is we weren't meeting in person, so we weren't doing Sunday school. And then it just started to kind of kick in the summer. So I was taking the Bible study or engaging in the Bible study and the scripture of that week, and then kind of creating my own plan for church school. But I also kind of enjoy doing that because that's what I did, because with a teaching background.
That's what teachers do, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
That's what they
Yeah.
do.
Here's my text. What I want to say
And
about
then
it.
the other part that does work about that is that if you can kind of modify what you're doing to what ages actually show up on Sunday morning. Like last Sunday we had 2-year-old twins and then a 7th grade boy. So I had the 7th grade boy help me with help me engage. And so I love the curriculum resources, and I don't know what my predecessor actually used. I think she used kind of a variety of different curriculums and pieced it together. But again, we've just really just kind of started this whole church school thing just pretty recently. So, but you said whole people of God, we can get online. Is that right? And
Yeah, they're all there.
Okay.
You can access them all, and I've hyperlinked everything on the document. So just click it and it'll take you to the website.
Okay.
And almost all of these have downloadable resources. So, in the old days, everybody had a physical book, and some of these still do. Some of them have student journals. I like the idea of that. And then some of them are completely downloadable online. So there's a lot of flexibility. Cecil, and now I can't remember which ones because they're all kind of in my head. There were even ones that were actually kind of geared towards sharing online, like you're sharing, you could send that to the kid to look at. Yeah. Which,
I can't remember which one
you have to assume, do parents have a printer? I mean, there are other issues that go into that, but you can share videos, you can share those other things with them. So Katie, I know it's not really Sunday school, but could you tell us a little bit about Our Whole Lives for people who might not be familiar with that?
Yeah, so Our Whole Lives is a comprehensive sexuality education program from basically birth to death. Churches have used different curriculums for different age groups, and I know over in Bethel they're going to be doing one for adults, but the Hood River Church has focused on the 7th through 9th grade curriculum, and it's just been quite popular in Hood River. It seems to be, the word is out, and there's just a draw and for this program. And when we weren't able to offer it because of COVID, people just were emailing me all the time. When's it coming back? And we're trying to figure it out. So this summer, I just really worked on trying to get a lot of facilitators, because you have to be trained in the program. Like Lee said, the Unitarian Universalist Melanie Davis and Amy Johnson from the United Church of Christ, the national office, are the ones who put the training together. And I kept pestering them and saying, I need to be trained because I'm new to this position. and I gotta get this OWL program going. And then they finally did do one online, and then they just did another one online. So I was able to get a woman in our church who is a retired nurse midwife to do it. So so now what we have is 23 teenagers on Wednesday night. They're all vaccinated. Nobody pushed back on that. And I have a facilitator team. It started with 5, but now I'm up to about 8. So I have a facilitation team of about 8 people I can draw from. And the beauty of that is that everybody brings their own gifts of wisdom and expertise to the program. And the other thing is from 6:45 to 8:30, that's a long time for teenagers to sit around and talk about sex, you know? So, because they're like, my parents made me come here and I don't want to be here. So, so to have different facilitators bring different gifts and present different parts of the curriculum, it's just really nice to have some different personalities to keep the program rolling and dynamic. So
Katie, are those facilitators, are they all from within your church, or did you go out into the community?
Most of them are within the church, but then I have a few people who are retired nurses or OBGYNs or school counselors or whatever, who also have been trained in the program over the years, and they would like to participate too. But yeah.
Katie, what I understood about the program in Hood River, one of the great things about it was that you got not only church people, but community. That's why it was so popular with the larger communities. That continues to be the case.
Yeah, also that's true for the facilitators, and then also for the students. We have about right now 5 of the 23 are actually kids who have associations and ties with Riverside Church, and the other kids just want to come to this program. So my only issue a little bit with it is that for Hood River, and I know it's Hood River, but it seems to draw a higher economic socio class that's, you know, highly educated, motivated parents, which is great, you know, it's good. But I worry a little bit about that it seems a little bit, I don't know,
Skewed.
privileged or
Yeah.
something. I don't know. So that does concern me a little bit.
That's a free program, right? It's through the church.
It's through the church. We do charge something for the program, but and we said we would offer scholarships too. But every parent has paid $350. But the program goes from September to December, and it's kind of intense. I mean, to get trained, the cost of the training and the time of that, and then to ask your facilitators to come, I would like to offer them at least a stipend for their time commitment. So so that's how we've done it.
We've had the Our Whole Lives program for a number of years, and every few years, 7th and 9th and 10th and 12th. And we used to alternate that with confirmation. It hasn't always worked that well. But now with the shutdown with COVID, and we just got some people trained, and we weren't able to do our program. And now for us, it's the search to widen our perimeter to see other people in the community and to recruit. We've talked some about working with Planned Parenthood, but it's a lot of work trying to get the word out.
Mhm.
Are you trying to recruit facilitators or students?
Students.
Yeah. Mhm. Yeah. And, I think it was just one of those things. I took this job during COVID, but for whatever reason, this program, how things go, the word gets out and then it just builds momentum. So this is just something I jumped into. And for some reason, people in Hood River make a connection with this program. So it depends on where you are. And, as we know, lots of factors involved in what draws kids in.
Mm-hmm.
I have a question since I don't know anything about the program. When you introduce the program, how is the program described, and when and how do the kids realize it's about sexuality?
Yeah.
I mean,
Well,
I don't know, because I don't know anything
right.
about it.
No,
Yeah.
that's a really good question. I mean, I'm kind of new to this too. But first of all, our whole lives, this program has already got a history in Hood River. So everybody who calls me and says, "Oh, can I get my name on the list?" Somehow they already know a little bit that this is a comprehensive sexuality program, and they feel like it can offer more information and values-based, a values-based perspective, not necessarily a theological perspective, but a values-based perspective for their children. And they just really want that because they feel like they can't get that in the school. And like one teenager said the other day, he said, "Well, my parents told me that either they were going to talk to me about sex or I had to come here and learn it from you guys. So I told them I'd come here and learn it from you guys."
I'm sharing my screen with the Our Whole Lives page on the UCC website and UCC resources, and it is from the get-go, Patricia, described as exactly what Katie just said.
Okay.
Age appropriate information, and then the 6 areas they talk about are human development, relationships, personal skills, sexual behavior, sexual health, and society and culture. And I like the clarify their values, build interpersonal skills, and understand spiritual, emotional, and social aspects of sexuality. So it's pretty,
Does this program go into all the teens and all of the kids' sexuality, like,
Yes.
not just, okay. It's not
Yeah,
just hetero.
it's not just hetero. No.
Oh yeah.
No.
Yeah.
Mhm.
No.
No, like I said, I don't know anything about it, so
Yeah.
I don't know.
No,
if
that's
my
a good
questions
question.
are
That's a good question.
out there, or
No,
like,
that's good. That's good. Yeah.
Yeah, no, definitely. They've actually done some addendums and some updates to make it a broader for the LGBTQ community. And
Good.
and
Okay.
we have a LGBTQ panel. So
okay, thank you.
Mhm.
then, and I'm gonna try to do a stipend for each. We have 3 to 4 facilitators per session, and I'm gonna try to do a stipend of $60 per facilitator per session, because it takes about an hour of prep, and then it's about 3 hours
Yeah.
of time commitment on a Wednesday night. So that's a 4-hour
Mhm.
commitment.
Mhm.
And
Mhm.
so
Yeah.
I don't know what so
Yeah. Yeah. Mhm.
actually I didn't really know, somebody had done the program before me, and that's kind of what they charged. So I just kind of was like, I just jumped into this job. I'm like, oh, okay, I guess that's what we'll do. But I thought it seemed a little high too. But then I thought, well, we'll just do that. And then if people have talked to me, said, yeah, it's a little much. So I'm like, yeah, no problem. We can,
Mhm.
we'll work it out. So,
Mhm.
but most people, it's just Hood River, or like, I think almost everybody except maybe one parent are just like, no problem, they just pay it. So it depends on what population you're serving. So
Yeah.
Mhm. Mhm.
Would it be one choice to like offer a sliding scale based on the person coming into the class, or do you feel better just having it be a set amount?
I thought about the sliding scale, but then I thought, well, we could get into like what your income is and all that and everything. And I just said, just email me, if
Yeah.
just email me, we'll work something out. So like I have one mom who has triplets. I'm like, no, we're not charging you,
$1,000.
To tell your kids about sex. Yeah.
Right. Yeah. But yeah, you're welcome to email me. I just put in the chat box if you have any other questions. And I just really want to emphasize that this team approach, I think we've just started, but it seems to be dynamic, and as long as it's well organized and everything is set up, I think that it's a better way to go, because last year we just had one person teaching it, and it's just a long time on a Wednesday night to listen to somebody for 2.5 hours.
They need a break.
Yeah, especially if the kids have been in school all day and then they go, yeah. So thank you. So does anybody else have a program they want to tell us about, or any kind of thing they want to warn us against?
Oh, I just want to say that the Godly Play, I have the figurines for Godly Play, and that's just a really nice thing to do with small children in church school.
Yes, thank you.
I don't have a program to offer, but I just have the perpetual question of how to staff any kind of church school, because we've had Lori the last, how many years, Lori? Lori's been our like
way late to me.
Yeah, and we'll constantly multiple times we throw out, hey, we need church school volunteers, and nobody wants to do it. So how do you have strategies? Do you have, Lee, I like your 5-minute sermon for so many reasons, including shortening the worship service and then not doing it during worship. But it just depends on if people are going to be flexible enough to do that model. But if they're not, how do you have strategies for, one church, I think, just signed people up to be volunteers for church school on certain Sundays, and I don't want to go to that.
I don't think so. Yeah.
But it's I'm tempted. There's so many times when I'm tempted, because it's not fair for it to fall on one person.
Right. Well, it depends on your community. I am very, very blessed in the Dalles that I have a large percentage of retired teachers in my congregation. And during COVID, we were an emergency childcare center during COVID. I don't know how many people know that. We opened our doors to kids that didn't have Wi-Fi or that needed supervision. And so we took our unused preschool, because preschool wasn't running, and opened the doors and got enhanced Wi-Fi to be able to handle it. And the kids brought in their laptops from school, and then we had supervised learning space for kids that needed it, with snacks, of course, and recess things. And actually some of the same people who volunteered for that, and I had plenty of volunteers for that, have volunteered to be Sunday school teachers. And it does help that it's not during worship, that they don't have to leave worship to do it. And I'm doing the adults, and our adult Sunday school is this last Sunday, I actually took my vulnerability in hand and said, here's a copy of my sermon, have at it. And it was great. Not not great praise, but a great discussion. It was really good. So it was sermon feedback time with the adults, which was good.
The hard thing with, I know that we had families that had kids that were preschool or grade school, middle school. I think we had a couple, but the problem with having the church service and then having the kids and the adults after, for some parents, that was even a longer period of time to be sitting in one place, and whether or not they're with their kids, it extends the time out. So what, like in our church, sometimes people will say, let's do a program after church. And like for choir, we have to be there an hour and a half before church. And so if you had an hour and a half before, something after, by the time you put it all together, you know, you've taken a vacation for church. It seems like it's forever. I mean, so it's hard for the family thing, I guess, is what I'm thinking about. So if it's integrated and it's short, I guess that's what I'm thinking. If it's a way that you can have the kids have a set activity, but not have it be forever, and just have it be a shorter time, then they would come back and they would be learning, as Adam said, how to do church. You know, so we sit now, and so you brought something to play with, or you brought a book. This is when you have quiet time. So I don't know, it just seems like the stuff that I would look at is how you can get to the meat of what you want, but then have more shared time so the kids can see the modeling of the behavior when they're in the main church, and they have a set time that maybe, and I don't know, because I've been asked to do it and then no kids showed up. But like, you know, if you had a 15-minute designated time and you had a beginning and a middle and an end, and that was church school, as you're saying, Sunday school, as I used to call it, then they would come back and everything would be like, oh, now I leave, now I come back. And it's not like, when do I come back? And I'd rather be sitting up with mom and wine. You know, if it's extended, it doesn't serve anybody, I guess. My 2 cents.
Well, I think that the beauty of this, there isn't one perfect answer that's going to fit everybody's situation. And there are pros and cons to all of it. I know that I couldn't ask people to sit through an hour-long service, half an hour of coffee. My folks can, I love my folks. They could talk over coffee another hour, you know. There's got to be an end coffee hour. And then if you're staying, and I really went back and forth, how long is Sunday school going to be? And, you know, a little less than 10 minutes altogether at the beginning, and then 20 minutes on your own seems to be about right. We'll see if that can be maintained, but I couldn't take it for another hour, or people would just be dead on their feet, I think.
You know, I think one of the things that we are dealing with here is our culture, because these same people, I mean, we're not going to change it probably, but these same people who don't want to stay very long for church, and I certainly had them in my churches too, spend hours at basketball games and things like that.
Yeah.
Hours.
Yeah.
Do any of you have paid teachers positions? No.
Well, my position is paid as the children and youth coordinator for the Hood River Church. So,
But your Sunday school teachers are not.
no.
No, they're volunteers. They're paid with love, Lori.
Yeah.
No, they're paid with love.
It feels like we got to pay them with paper
Yeah.
in order to get some
Mhm.
folks to someone to teach our kids, because it's just hard to find volunteers. So we're just thinking about throwing money at it and seeing what happens.
I have heard that in the past, when we've had babies and there's been a nursery during church, the nursery attendant was paid because nobody wanted to leave worship during that time. So they hired someone who actually outside the church to be the nursery attendant.
That's what we
paid nursery attendant.
Yeah, we do too.
Yeah. So
when we had kids, we would actually have somebody come to do the activities and the time with them. And so they were part of the paid staff. But we haven't had kids with the COVID and everything else. So that's gone away.
Yeah.
So I wonder.
That's another conversation, but yeah, I just don't know how we're going to proceed here with COVID and kids coming to church and all of that. I think that's another conversation, but
yeah.
Well, thank you all for coming tonight.
So you were gonna say something.
No, I just, this is a good conversation. I was just wondering, we were talking about Sunday school and whether or not we have enough teachers. And it just occurred to me, well, we don't have to have Sunday school every Sunday, maybe one Sunday a month, maybe Sunday school, another Sunday might focus on something else.
Yeah.
That's a good point. Yeah.
Mhm.
We aren't going to have Sunday school this coming Sunday because our worship
Oh.
will be the
Yeah.
will be
The
doing
main
it
thing.
online, and it's not going to be 40 minutes. I already know. So but I love it, and I love it. It's going to be great. I know, but it's not going to be 40 minutes. So
You know, when the woman was talking, the storyteller last night, so I shut off my thing and I went and made a cup of tea, and I thought, because I was coming here tonight, I thought, you know, I love playing with kids and having a reason for what we're doing. And I thought it would be such a cool thing with maybe the little kids, not the babies, but the kids that are in school, to do that thing she was saying. Like, we've done it at church where you'll have somebody play someone in the story that was told within the readings, but it's not a main character. It's like a sidelander. And, you know, I was just thinking, if you had like a tagline from something that was read at church that was really juicy for like adventures and stuff, or just fun, and like have the kids in a circle and say, so this was read, what comes next? Kids are gonna like go gonzos about the fact that they're being asked something totally like without a form, and it would be cute. The quiet kids are gonna go, how can they even do that? And the loud kids, of course, are gonna take it over. But each week to have something like that, to have the kids know it's okay to try something that you don't know. You know, what do you mean what comes next? Well, I mean, what comes next, you know? But I thought of that, and I thought, well, I would, and I'm looking at the faces, so maybe it's not time yet for other people, but I thought it would be really fun, because sometimes when you're with the kids, oh, if you ask people to help you with this, I've been the one that's been asked, and I've been the one that had to find somebody. And when you say, would you take Sunday school? And they go, ooh. And it goes back to, what did they do when they were in it? It wasn't fun, maybe, and it was boring, and it was nothing. But if you all of a sudden said to somebody, so why don't you play this, or why don't you do that, or say a word and say what that means for something else, maybe if you made it fun, you might find you have people that want to help. And if it's not a long time, you'll get more people.
I think that helps too, if it's shortened, if it's not going to be an hour. Yeah.
Oh, an hour. No, I can't imagine. No.
And I think that the list of curriculum that Jennifer started, that I've been like annotating and adding to, there's some really good options out there. You know, at first I was like, how come the UCC doesn't have a curriculum? What's wrong with us? And I thought, why reinvent the wheel? There is already so much great stuff out there.
Yeah.
You know? Those of us that we're in full fellowship with have already done the work. Let's just buy theirs.
Do it. Borrow it.
Exactly.
So,
No,
well,
that's a great list.
thank you.
Yeah.
And I'm thinking of, we'll talk about this at Local Church Ministries, Katie and Cecil, but I never have liked the idea of vacation Bible school, but I do like the idea of summer programming. So maybe maybe later this year we'll do a summer programming knowledge swap.
That'd be great.
Sounds good.
I already know what I'm doing this summer. We're doing Godspell, but
Oh, wow.
yeah.
We did Earth Camp. It was great.
Earth Camp. That sounds great. Yeah. Yeah. I produced Godspell a couple of years ago with kids, and it's wonderful because it's the story of Jesus. It's Jesus's parables. I mean, it's a great teaching tool. And what kid doesn't want to be the star in a musical? So they show up.
This is going to be great.
Well, can we close in prayer? Can we do that? Okay. Let us pray. Gracious God, we know that we are all your children, but right now we're lifting up your younger children, and teach us to be there for them, to guide them into being everything that they could possibly be according to your will. May we all just keep learning. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen.